Okay, we're ready to get back into this. We're going to talk about the assignment, how you should be thinking about doing the assignment. So some of you may have done a good job of it. You could resubmit it. That's fine. Others may want to just totally redo it. So let's go over how you should be thinking about doing it here. And we're going to just pick a simple area of Michigan City through South Bend through Elkhart, Indiana for it. When you do this one, I do recommend skyvector.com. Oh, if you want to use ForeFlight, go ahead. You'll probably get things wrong, but that's okay. You're the captain of your grade, right? I like SkyVector because it's very easy to get all the different charts that you need for this assignment. ForeFlight, it's a little tougher to get all the charts you need for the assignment. Okay, it's not as user friendly, but use what you want. You're the captain here. Okay? Anyway, our plan is to use Michigan City through South Bend through Elkhart as the example. Obviously, you'll be doing something out west with a little bit more Bravo mixed into it. Okay? In order to do this, we're taking this plan view the cartographer made and turning it on its side into a profile view. And we're going to be doing that along the course line there between the airports. In order to get this accomplished, we got to know some certain distances. And starting with the easy one of the Charlie airspace area, we automatically know that the inner core is 5 nautical miles out. The outer shelf is 10 nautical miles out. And then we can see on there a bottom at 2,000, a ceiling at 4,800 feet. Okay? We're going to go over these distances and then we'll start plugging away, drawing it out. Over at Elkhart, we measure the distance from the airport to the dashed blue. We're looking at 4 nautical miles. And then we do see that it goes up to 3,300 feet here. And then we've got some magenta areas around those airports to think about. And we go towards Michigan City. And from the airport to the edge of the magenta is 6.5 miles. From the magenta area to the edge of the outer shelf is a 6-mile area. And then we see the blue shading extends for about 2 miles inside of that shelf. So I'm going to switch to the camera here so that we can pull this up and just kind of draw it out together. And I'm going to start with the easy Class Charlie airspace area. Each of the tick marks is 1 nautical mile on there. So if I started at my airport and I go out 5 miles, I will put a mark down either side. That's the inner core. You know the inner core goes up to 4,800 feet. So I'll go up to 4,800 and I'll put a couple marks there. I'm going to play connect the dots in just a little bit. Outer shelf, we go, goes out to 10 nautical miles, and that was 2,000 feet to 4,800. So 10 miles out, starting at 2,000 feet, I got a dot, and the other corner up at 4,800 feet. East side, 10 miles out, same set of dots. And now I got a general shape of a Charlie airport. There's a straight edge. And I've got the beginnings of a Charlie here. And there we go. So that's the easy one, of course. Now the next one would be the delta airspace, 4 nautical miles, and the outer shelf butted up right to the delta airspace there. So when I count over my 4 miles, in the airport, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 on the east side there, 3,300 feet. Got some general tick marks there. Zoom in just a little bit for you. See the tick marks just a little bit better. Now I can do a little bit of connect the dots. I'll do a dashed blue line, because that's what deltas are. That's my Elkhart class delta airspace. Now, we also have both blue and magenta shading to deal with here. And I just have to have a scale tool. There's a little scale, so if I take a little piece of paper, I can lay it down. I can make my 700-foot mark. And then I got my 1,200-foot mark. And then I can take that very easily over here. And now I know where to start marking 700 feet, because it's magenta shading on that side. And between the Charlie and Delta airports, it's also at 700 feet. So I got my ground level put in there. And I just like to do a little fuzzy on one side of it. Nice hard edge on one side, and kind of feathers out into the other. You don't have to do it like this, but I like to do it because it helps me to think about, well, that's magenta shading there with echo above the area, and of course below that area you have got Gulf airspace. That's how everything is sandwiched together there. And of course we're looking at echo airspace above the delta. And of course, you know, we got echo airspace above the Charlie. We head over to Michigan City. Now, Michigan City is going to go 6.5 miles for the magenta shading. Got my mark for 6.5. And I'll put a mark there. 2 marks. That's my transition point. One more mark on the west side of it for 700. Now I can easily see as the ground slopes, my lines will slope as well. There's my magenta shading right there. And we've got Gulf right below it, Gulf Airport. Then we tick over into the blue shading. So I'll just go back to the computer real quick and just help you see. This area right there is blue shading. Outside of the magenta, we have blue shading there. So it goes 2 miles underneath the outer shelf area. Just so happens to be at the very bottom of the shelf. We're kind of at the same point there. And then from there, we go back into a magenta shading again. I got my little blue transition. Of course, that's echo right above it there. And right back into magenta transition. That's still golf areas there. So that's the majority of the airspace area. Any questions on that? Let's take a look at the default level, 14,500 feet. Is default airspace, class echo. There's no symbology for it. I'll just put a dashed line. And I'll just make a note that it's default echo. And if you wanted to finish things off, go up to 18,000 feet where our echo airspace is going to end at that point. Of course, and it's all above it. There you go. Questions on that? Yes?
You kind of specified like the different types of class echo on this. Are you wanting it to be that specific for echo as well?
Yeah, where it transitions from 700 to 1200 orbit surface based, yes.
I mean, just like with the default echo, if we had just kept that as echo, would that have been an issue?
Your instructions will have you label that.
Okay.
Other questions? Yes.
Are we going to go over flyway charts and stuff? Isn't that?
No.
No. Okay.
No, that's why I want you to use SkyVector. All right.
Can you show us how to access those?
Okay. All right, bring the computer back up for you. We'll go out west. I'll go out to Seattle. Nice thing about SkyVector, all of your charts, VFR, IFR charts are right up here. If you're on the sectional chart, this would be Seattle. I may or may not see the different flyways that they have on there. Okay. Sometimes there's too much detail on here. So if I go to a Seattle flyway chart, now I can see where my flyways are located. And if they cross over my path that I've got on the assignment, then I need to make a note of it. And we see they might have altitudes associated with them. Sometimes they don't have altitudes with them. So that's a flyway chart. But also note on here that they have transition routes as well. Those are these magenta routes. Here you've got a Seahawk transition, a Mariner transition, and they do list specific altitudes. So interestingly enough, these VFR transition routes are taking you right over the runway complex, right there. Okay. I also notice ATC clearance is required on these particular routes. So there's also there's also the TAC chart, which also has these same routes on there as well. So you could, if navigating, you'd want to have this chart up. So yes.
So do you want us to note those with just like a line on the spot where it crosses our route?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. In some fashion, label it. That's right. And if there's special use airspace areas that cross over the area, make a note of them as well. So I'm just going to have you go through all airspace types. So special use airspace and other airspace. Good. Other questions? All right, then we've got some time here to do our group activity of the airspace game. So please organize yourself into your groups and we'll get started.